What's going on, guys? Welcome back into the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel. I'm your host, Mike Tagliere, here with you guys, as always, on a Sunday morning, a beautiful Sunday morning here in Chicago, where it's about like 40 degrees. Hopefully you guys are warmer wherever you're at. There are some apparently some weather concerns in the games today. I'm sure we'll talk about that as we go through. But as always, guys, thank you for showing up. We definitely appreciate it. If you guys haven't already, click that subscribe button and also click the like button. It really does help us out. I'm going to start by going through the injuries, just letting you know the players that you need to know about. If you've been away from the computer this week, you haven't paid attention, that's what we're here for. But I'm not going to spend too long on this. I'm going to get into your questions as quick as I can, and then I'll be answering questions for an hour straight. So if you guys have been here, you know how this works. If not, invite someone to it, tag them in it, and say, hey, come check this out, join the stream. We have a good time. So let me start with the injuries. AJ Green is out. Matthew Stafford is out. Those are guys that I think everybody probably knows about at this point, but I just feel the need to let you guys know. Jordan Howard, not going to play. Nelson Aguilar, Alshon Jeffrey, not likely to play. It seemed like Alshon Jeffrey was going to play this morning, but now they are saying that he is unlikely to play. Adam Schefter tweeted that out, so I'm guessing he tried going out there for pregame warmups, didn't really respond very well. Alshon Jeffrey's never really been the type to play through injuries, so it could be really ugly for Carson Wentz. That's someone that I've downgraded quite a bit in my rankings this morning. So just know that. I mean, the receivers that benefit, Mac Hollins is out there, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Jordan Matthews. These are not appealing wide receivers, but it is what it is. Mohamed Sanu, if you guys own Mohamed Sanu, it seems like he is not expected to play. We don't know for certain. He's apparently dealing with an ankle injury. They're saying it could be a multi-week thing, which tells me that he's probably not going to play. And they're saying even if he does play, he would be limited in the game. So I would not want to be relying on Mohamed Sanu this week. Just an FYI. Phillip Dorsett also not cleared from the concussion protocol. They labeled him as questionable, but if he hasn't been cleared, he's not playing. So Phillip Dorsett also not expected to play. Auden Tate, he's someone that didn't practice all week. It was a neck injury. I don't even know why he was listed questionable. It seems like he's more on the doubtful side of anything. So, you're not really playing a Bengals wide receiver very confidently right now anyways. So Auden Tate, be prepared to be without him. George Kittel, they are expecting him to play. He's apparently playing through a broken bone of some sort in his ankle or foot. I don't know. There's reports coming out about this, which is kind of crazy. I don't know. I don't know how to take it, but it seems like they're expecting him to play in the night game tonight. If you have Kittel, obviously it's really tough not to play him. You kind of have to put him out there, and if you grab Dwelly, if you have him, and if you're relying on him, that way you have at least a pivot off him. But it's ugly. And those that are doubtful are Matt Breida, not going to play most likely, and Delaney Walker. Those are the guys that are not expected to play in this game. So that's basically the injuries that I really wanted to touch on. Obviously, we have the scroll bar, thanks to Chris, our nifty graphics dude. He actually goes through and creates this, and it's pretty cool. So you guys, if you're wondering about any injuries, he has them along the bottom there. So let's get into some questions. And again, I'm going to take them in a completely random order. Believe me, I'm not skipping over a question. It's just I have to freeze the frame, answer the questions, scroll down, and get through what I can. So, guys, if you're asking a question, I always forget to tell you this, but if you're asking a question, please narrow it down to 3 players or less, because if there's more than that, I kind of have to skip over it because it just takes too long to get through those questions, and therefore I don't get to answer as many. So try and cut it down to your tough decisions, 2 or 3 players, and we'll go from there. But yeah, let's start. Tucker, pick 2, Cooper Kupp, Marvin Jones, Miles Sanders. I'm going to take Myles Sanders for sure because he's a guy with guaranteed touches. Marvin Jones, that's one of the games where they're expecting some wind between Detroit and Washington. Now, Marvin Jones is obviously, he's played pretty well with Jeff Driskel, but at some point I do anticipate some of that production going over to Kenny Galladay. The target numbers haven't been massive for Marvin Jones. In a game where I'm expecting them to run the ball a little bit more with the wind issues going on there, I'm going to go with Cooper Kupp. I just feel like it's a safer play. I'm not excited about either receiver. I think I have Cooper Kupp. I'm actually lower on than the consensus. I think I have him as my wide receiver 19 this week. So I'm not high on him at all, but I do think that he should rack up a few receptions, a little bit safer than Marvin Jones. So I'll go with Kupp and Miles Sanders. Eric Frank asks, pick 2 PPR. I'm guessing that's Geis, Beau Scarborough, and Latavius. I'm going to go with Latavius for sure. Latavius is a guy that I think people are overlooking a little bit. I know that people are plugging in Alvin Kamara in their DFS lineups and expecting a massive game out of him, and it's not to say that he's not going to have that, but I do think Latavius Murray is going to eat into some of that production. So I have Latavius as like a top 26 running back this week. I like him. Beau Scarborough, he's not going to be involved at all in the passing game. The Redskins have been kind of hit or miss against the run. They're not a bad run defense. They're not a great run defense. They're kind of like whatever. And now that we have Ty Johnson back all week, we have J.D. McKissick, I don't know how they're going to split up the touches here. There's a little bit, there's more uncertainty about Beau Scarborough, so I'm going to go ahead and say Geis and Latavius are the guys that I would play this week. Geis, naturally, he was on the wrong side of a timeshare last week, but it was close, and I do anticipate him getting more work as time goes on because they need to kind of ensure that he's the running back of their future. So I'll go with Geis and Latavius. Jeff asked, Joe Mixon or Latavius Murray? I think we have to go Mixin there. I mean, he's just locked into too many touches to bench him. I mean, Pittsburgh is not a good matchup, but we've seen ever since they had Ryan Finley take over as the quarterback, we've seen him get plenty of touches. I mean, 30 carries the one game. Last week he had 20 touches. So I'm gonna go with Mixin here. It stinks because I think Latavius Murray probably has a better shot at a touchdown, but if Latavius doesn't score, Mixin would outscore him. So again, we don't ever want to rely on touchdowns. So I'm gonna go with Joe Mixin here and just take the guaranteed touches. Kevin and Rue, standard, Brian Hill, Miles Sanders, or Beau Scarborough. Thanks for the help. Love the show. Well, thank you for joining the show. I'm going to go with Miles Sanders here. Brian Hill, I mean, obviously he was a big letdown against Carolina last week, and I don't want to hold 1 week, against him too much, but going up against the Bucs this week, it's a much tougher matchup. The Bucs have been legitimately probably if not the worst defense to go against for running backs. It might be like bottom 3. So it's not a great matchup. And knowing that Brian Hill struggled last week, obviously he's a little bit down the totem pole for me. Beau Scarborough, just talked about him and that. I mean, can I see Beau Scarborough getting 14 touches? Yes. But do I see him getting any receptions? Probably not. And here's the fun fact about that. I've done if a running back, if you play in a PPR format, a running back, every target is worth 2.3 carries in terms of expected fantasy output based like an average basis, right? So basically, if you're not getting targets, if you have a running back that's going to get 8 carries and 4 targets, he's worth more than a guy that's going to get 14 carries. So it's just kind of going through that and understanding that he has very limited upside, and you're not even guaranteed those 14 carries for him. I think he should probably get them, but there's no guarantee. So I'll take Miles Sanders in a game that Philadelphia is just really. They're a team that, even if Miles Sanders if even he carries the ball just 10 times, he's going to get targeted, and it's going to be worth more than that. So I'll go Miles Sanders. James asks, Tags, what's up, brother? What's up, man? 12-team PPR flex, McLaurin, Myles, or your guy Murray, leaving Rojo out. Yeah, not McLaurin. Terry McLaurin, not only is it, it's a tough matchup against Darius Slay. We've heard about the wind out there today. So I'm a little concerned about Terry McLaurin. I have him outside my top 30 wide receivers. The guy is very talented. I have no doubt in his talent. He's fantastic, but I have concerns about Dwayne Haskins and that offense overall. I think they're going to run the ball a ton against Detroit, and you can. Miles Sanders, he's the guy that I'm going to go with here just because, again, I can project him for the highest amount of touches. And knowing that, Alshon's not going to play, that Aguilar's probably not going to play, that Howard's not playing. There's just so many touches that have to go somewhere, right? And if we don't want to play any of the wide receivers, it's why aren't we looking to Miles Sanders? I have him as a back-end RB2, high-end RB3. I do like Latavius, obviously, but I'm going to go with Miles here. I just feel like it's a bit safer of a play. Eric asked, half PPR, trust Coleman or take a flyer on Scarborough? I'm playing Tevin Coleman. I have Tevin Coleman as a top 15 running back. I don't love Tevin Coleman, but the matchup against the Packers is not one to fear. Knowing that Matt Breida is out for this game, they don't want to go toe-to-toe with Aaron Rodgers. They're going to keep the ball on the ground. Tevin Coleman has struggled lately, and that's unfortunately something you kind of have to live with. But Beau Scarborough is not a very talented running back, guys. Understand that. He did run better than I think anybody thought he would against Dallas last week, but again, he's not a guy that's guaranteed more than, I don't even know if he's guaranteed a dozen touches. I really don't know if I can say that because it's they've had a timeshare ever since Kerryon Johnson went down. All right, let's see. I got an epidemic. Should I start Calvin Ridley or Kenny Galladay? I'm going to go with Ridley here. Obviously, you have Julio Jones to deal with. Kenny Galladay has Marvin Jones to deal with. And Kenny Galladay's really struggled under Jeff Driskel. And this is a matchup they probably could take advantage of on a regular day. But again, there is some additional win there. The Redskins benched Josh Norman. They actually said that he's going to be inactive this week. And I've had people asking me, does this upgrade Lions pass catchers to where I need to start these guys? And do I lock them into my DFS lineups? And the answer is no, because in all honesty, Josh Norman was a matchup to target in DFS anyway, so it's not like it's going to be a massive downgrade or anything. Josh Norman's been playing terribly. I want to say that there's nobody in the NFL who's allowed more touchdowns over the last 2 seasons. So, yeah. So let me see. I would go with Calvin Ridley. Basically, that's what it boils down to. Calvin Ridley. Red Zone Bully, Jameis or Aaron Rodgers. This is Jameis for sure for me. Aaron Rodgers is a guy that's finished outside the top 20 quarterbacks more than he's finished inside the top 10 this year. I think a lot of people would be surprised to hear that, but that's where we're at. This is a team that wants to move the ball through their running backs, and San Francisco is not a team that you throw the ball against. You can run on them, and I do expect Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams to be heavily utilized there, but Jameis is the pick there for sure. Jameis actually, the stat on him, I want to say that over his last 8 games, I think that's it, 7 or 8 games, he has finished as the QB 16 or better. So like he's had a high floor. We obviously know he has a high ceiling. So yeah, it's Jameis for me. Let's see. Beau is a flex over a receiver like Deebo or Robert Woods in a PPR. Not in a PPR, I wouldn't do it. Again, Beau, he's not going to catch any passes. That's not how he's used. He's not that type of player. I didn't like him coming out of Alabama. I just felt like he was like a worse version of Derrick Henry, like a guy that doesn't have the speed of Derrick Henry, but moves like him behind the line of scrimmage. I don't like him very much. So yeah, I would not play him over those guys. Joseph asked, bench 1, Galladay, Cooks, or Metcalfe. I'm probably going to bench Cooks, knowing that the matchup this week is tough, right? So Brandon Cooks has always been a receiver that you can kind of rely on for targets. He's a guy that you could rely on for some big plays. So it's like if he's getting the targets, okay, we have a decent floor. If he has that big play upside, it's like, okay, even if he doesn't get the targets, he could make it up in one play. But knowing that Jared Goff has 18 touchdown passes over his last 18 games and now is going up against a Ravens team that's, I mean, I want to say ever since week 4 have allowed like 5 passing touchdowns. It's not a good matchup. I mean, we saw Jared Goff struggle against the Bears. I know he was without Brandon Cooks. I know he was without Robert Woods, but the Ravens are playing. They probably have the best secondary in the NFL right now with the way they've been playing. So I'm not excited about attacking that matchup with Woods or Cooks. So I'll go with Metcalfe. At least we know he's tied to Russell Wilson. And Galladay, obviously, he's a guy that is in a good matchup. Will he get the targets? That's a question, but it is a good matchup. So I'm going to go with Galladay and Metcalfe and bench Cooks. All right, let's see. Tony, good evening from Germany. Wow, good evening. That's crazy. Is Geis a decent flex in half PPR, and does one start him over John Brown or Gallup? Would I start Geis over those guys? I think I might start Darius Geis over Michael Gallup. Some people will look at it and say, well, Amari Cooper is going to be shadowed by Stephon Gilmore, and I want Gallup. Well, Gallup's going to be matched up with McCourty, so McCourty's not a matchup to target either. He's been really, really good in coverage too. So I would play Geis over Michael Gallup this week, yeah. Because again, guys, the matchup against Detroit is really good. It's about finding who's getting those touches, right? And that Bill Callahan runs a very run-heavy approach. Ever since he's taken over as interim head coach, I expect there to be 25 plus touches to go around between the running backs. And if I think Geis takes a step forward, we're looking at 13 to 15 touches. I think that's safe to assume with him. And in a matchup against Detroit, it's a good one. So yeah. Angel asked, hey Tags, full PPR, played Fuller earlier this week over Coleman. Nice, that worked out. My other running backs, wide receivers, okay. Would you sit any of them for Coleman? I don't think I would sit any of them for Coleman. The only one I would debate is Devontae Adams, but it's really tough to sit him. I don't think I could do it. Andrew asked, morning Tags, half PPR, Jamal Williams or Deante Johnson? This one's really close because Jamal Williams is kind of like capped, right? He's capped. He's like almost like that Austin Eckler role in this offense where he's getting like 8 to 12 touches, where it's like that's good. And Deante Johnson with no Juju Smith-Schuster, it's like you have to wonder what's his target ceiling. And knowing they're up against Cincinnati, it's a good matchup. But do they throw the ball a lot? I don't think that they're going to throw the ball a whole lot. That's the concern there. I'm probably going to take Jamal Williams. It just feels like the little bit safer play. Again, San Francisco has shown vulnerability against the run recently. They're a team that you can run the football on, and I expect Green Bay to kind of go in there and try and do that. A little concern for sure, but I'll go the safer route with Jamal Williams. Garrett, 10th team, half PPR, George Kittle or Darren Waller. Okay, so there's a situation where I probably go Waller, just knowing that Kittle, that there's some uncertainty about him. if you're choosing between Kittel and someone like Mike Gesicki, I'm going to say Kittel because it's worth taking that risk. But over someone like Waller, I'm probably just going to stick with Waller there. Let's see. Sassy Geo Girl. Jimmy Garoppolo or Jeff Driskel? So I have Driskel higher right now, but the wins, these are the things like I'm going to go and check the weather reports right before we get into like when I finish my rankings. So that's something that can change. I want to be honest about that. But Garoppolo, I'm not like excited to play him against Green Bay. If you look at Garoppolo's stats, like in terms of like when he plays against like the Cardinals and then versus everybody else, the stats obviously look like they're very heavily skewed when he plays the Cardinals, and that's obviously a great matchup. So I don't feel like Jimmy Garoppolo is someone that I want to attack. I have Driskel higher right now, but they're in the same territory. I'm going to look it up just to tell you to be sure, but I'm fairly certain I have Driskel Driskel at 15. I have Garoppolo at 19. So I'm not excited about Garoppolo this week. Half PPR, Jalen Samuels versus Phillip Lindsay. I'm going to go Phillip Lindsay here. The Bills have actually allowed, I think it's 12 or 13 top 24 running backs this year. They've obviously only played 10 games, so it should be a top 24 performance for Lindsay, who, by the way, outtouched Royce Freeman 2-1 last week, and they said that they wanted to use him more. There's nothing that Phillip Lindsay did in that game that should suggest they don't use him that way again. So I'm going to say that Phillip Lindsay would be the guy I would play in that one. Jalen Samuels does come with a solid floor, but they could involve Benny Snell some more. Samuels has really struggled to carry the ball. I mean, 2.6 yards per carry on the year. Let's see, Cynthia Hunt, Golden Tate, or Ingram for flex standard. I think I still have to go with Ingram against the Rams. The Rams are a team that I'd say they're weaker against the run than they are against the pass. I thought about Kareem Hunt, but again, we can't guarantee him more than like 8 to 12 touches, and Ingram, I think we can. So I'm going to go with Ingram here. It's close, though. Knucklehead, 5.7. Choose one. Josh Jacobs, Aaron Jones, Chris Carson, full PPR. Choose one? I mean, I'm guessing this has to be like a DFS question. I'm going to go with Aaron Jones. I mean, the Jets have been a tough matchup for running backs. I don't think people realize that. On the year now, they're allowing just, I think it's 3 yards per carry, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to pull it up because I want to be sure of that. Yep, 3.01 yards per carry. They've allowed some work through the passing game, but Jacobs hasn't been like heavily featured there where it's like, he's getting like 3 targets sometimes, but I'm going to go with Aaron Jones, like the highest touchdown upside on the slate here. All he does is score touchdowns. Chris Carson, tough matchup against Philadelphia. That's probably going to be a lower scoring game. Marlo, Sean, Franklin, Hollister, or Darren Waller? Darren Waller, for sure. He's a guy that you play every single week. Hollister is a guy that should be owned and played most weeks, but I don't think he's like a must play every week. Chris asked, good morning, Tags. Good morning. PPR Flex, Golden Tate, Deebo, or Hollister? I'm going to go with Golden Tate here. I mean, he's been targeted way too much. Knowing that we have Shepard coming back to the lineup is a little bit worrisome. Knowing that like they're playing the Bears, they've been really good against slot receivers this year. One of the biggest surprises, I would say, of the year for the Bears has been Buster Skrine, who everybody viewed it as a bad signing, myself included, but he's played actually pretty well for them. But Golden Tate he's getting like he's averaging over 8 targets per game with the Giants. So it's really tough to sit him for someone like Deebo, who is questionable all week. He wasn't even guaranteed to play. Hollister, again, a tight end. I'll take Tate. Phillip, start Dak Prescott, Josh Allen, or Jeff Driskel. I have Dak the highest of them. I mean, they're all in the same territory. I think I have Dak at like 11. I think I have Josh Allen at like 13 or 14, and then Driskel at 15. So they're all in that general vicinity. But I would go with Dak because so New England is due for some regression to the mean in terms of like there's going to be touchdowns that are going to be scored in terms of what they're allowing, yards per pass attempt and all that stuff. Like if you start breaking down everything and look, they're going to allow some touchdowns here soon, and the competition they've played has not been great. Like if you go through their game logs, like they've had one of the weaker schedules. So people have been waiting for. It's kind of like the same thing with the Cowboys, though. People are getting their wish. The Cowboys are playing someone tough. They've had an easy schedule. And the Patriots are playing someone that's been scoring points. So it's like the two are intersecting, and it's a really interesting game to project. But Dak, knowing that Dak can do some things with his legs as well, and New England, they are traditionally one of the teams that allows more rushing yards to quarterbacks. I'm going to go with Dak here. I just think he gives a higher floor. Denver's been a really tough defense. That's why I don't like Josh Allen so much this week. And knowing that they take away your number one receiver with Chris Harris, that if John Brown gets taken away, I just feel like Josh Allen can make some bad decisions. All right, let's see. Mixon or Tevin Coleman? I would play Tevin Coleman. Mixon, again, it's a tough matchup against Pittsburgh. He's going to get, 18 touches most likely, but Tevin Coleman's the one. Let's see. Brad, hoping to get a W on my birthday. Well, happy birthday, Brad. Hope you have a good one. Flex, Latavius Murray or Curtis Samuel, half PPR. That's tough. Samuel's been getting the targets. He just hasn't he hasn't produced with them. I'm going to go with Curtis Samuel here, being it's a half PPR, because he's going to catch some balls. They are playing inside of a dome. Obviously, DJ Moore is the one who's been moving the chains, but at the same time, Curtis Samuel's he's getting so many air yards. He's getting so many targets. The opportunity is there for him to do it. So it's just there's more upside, I think, with him than there is with Murray. So I'll go with Curtis Samuel here. Let's see. Greetings from Germany. Another Germany. Pick 2, half PPR. Montgomery, Myles Sanders, or Kittel. Montgomery for sure, and I'm probably going to go with Myles Sanders just because Kittel, I want to say play Kittel. Obviously you do, but I also feel like it could be a 0 in your lineup. He could re-injure that. He could be pulled from the game. It could be like a Rob Gronkowski type situation where it's the guy keeps trying to play through injuries and he keeps getting injured and it sucks. I'm learning this year. It's in drafts. It's one of the biggest things I've learned is that avoid the injury discount. AJ Green, we felt like we were getting a discount with him, and guys worry about contract disputes, and Melvin Gordon and then Le'Veon Bell last year. It's all these things happen for a reason. It's better to avoid those things. And I feel the same way about players coming off injury, right? So Kittle's been out for a couple weeks. Apparently he's playing through a broken bone. So I'm going to take the running backs here and just take the guaranteed touches. All right. Let's see. Blaze 20. Hey, tags. Hey. Mark Ingram or John Brown in flex for PPR. I'm going to go with Mark Ingram. Give me the guaranteed touches. Ingram has actually been involved in the passing game a little bit more the last couple weeks. Obviously, he scored a couple of receiving touchdowns last week. John Brown, I'm expecting Denver to shadow John Brown with Chris Harris. I can't say that with any certainty, though, because they didn't shadow Stephon Diggs last week, and it was a 1-week thing. I don't know why they did, but they paid for it. Diggs caught all 5 of his targets for 100 yards and a touchdown. So I would assume they're going to go back to Chris Harris shadowing. It's kind of crazy, but I would go at Mark Ingram, just a little less risk there. Full PPR, Gallup, Deebo, or N'Keal Harry. That's a situation where I'd probably go with Gallup. N'Keal Harry, it's his second NFL game. He is still splitting snaps. You're relying on Dorsett to be out, on Sanu to be out. Some things that we don't know for certain yet. It seems like they're both going to be out. So he could see more targets, but I'm going to go with Gallup here. He has big play upside, and it's not like Tom Brady has he hasn't looked great as of late. So I don't think you need to target the wide receivers aggressively. We know that Julian Edelman's going to be the go-to guy for him. I don't think you have to play him. So I'm going to go with Gallup here. Cheap wide receiver option for DFS. Need to replace Aguilar. Demaryius Thomas is somebody that people have talked about. N'Keal Harry is someone that people have talked about. That's something I'm going to be going through and looking at it. Let me go down here and just look at under 4,100 and say, if you can find someone, actually Taylor Gabriel at 4,200. I like him quite a bit. He should give you a floor with some ceiling. Chris Conley, been seeing plenty of targets. I think he has 7+ targets in 3 or 4 straight games. He's someone that I would look at. Those are the ones that stand out. Demaryius Thomas again. But yeah, those are the ones I would look at. All right, let's see. Chark Cooper. DJ Chark, he's a top 10 play for me this week. I'm playing him over Amari. I like Amari just fine as a wide receiver too, but you have to dial back expectations, whereas Chark, the matchup's good. D-Dub, standard, Sony Michel or James White? James White. He's given at least a floor. It stinks that it's standard because standard, obviously, touchdowns are they heavily skew everything, but White just gives you the higher floor. Zachary Hopkins, Coleman or Crowder, half PPR. I'd play Coleman. Again, Crowder, Crowder's fine. I have him as like my number 22 receiver. I don't dislike Crowder by any means, but Coleman's my number 15 running back, I think. Again, anytime you get a running back that's guaranteed 15 touches, you play him over a wide receiver. That's how I feel about it. And it's not like Green Bay's a matchup that you have to avoid either. All right, let's see. Baker, Mayfield, or Dak Prescott? I have Baker higher. Baker is like, I think I have him as my number 6 or number 7 quarterback this week, and I have Dak at number 11. I'm playing Baker. I mean, the only concern with Baker Mayfield has nothing to do with his efficiency or anything like that. It has to do with does Nick Chubb, does Kareem Hunt steal the touchdowns on the ground, and he doesn't throw any. But I do anticipate him throwing a couple touchdowns in that game. All right. Hey, tags, Tannehill or Foles? Thanks. I mean, I don't anticipate Tannehill throwing the ball a whole lot in this game. It should be a Derrick Henry driven game, so I'm going to go with Nick Foles on this one. The matchups are kind of vice versa, right? You have Derrick Henry, who is facing a very weak run defense, good pass defense with Jacksonville. And on the flip side, you have Tennessee, good run defense, a weak secondary. So, yeah, this one plays into Foles. Carlos, Mark Andrews or George Kittle? Again, this is one of those situations where you have a good enough player in Mark Andrews that I would feel comfortable sitting Kittle. It's kind of crazy that we're at this point, but the tight ends, that if you have both of them for whatever reason, I think it's crazy that people own all these guys. But if you own someone like Ertz, if you own someone like Mark Andrews, someone like Darren Waller, those are the guys that I would play over George Kittle. But I would start questioning is it like Kittle or Jared Cook? I'd probably wait it out with Kittle and just grab Dwelly as insurance. Let's see. James, standard, throwing up while typing this. Kalen Ballage, Raheem Mostert, or Royce Freeman? I mean, it's probably Ballage. And it's gross. I want to throw up while saying it, but it's probably Ballage. He's been so bad, but knowing that Cleveland is missing 3 of their starters on defense, starting strong safety, Larry Ogunjobi, one of their interior linemen, got Myles Garrett obviously on the edge. So I think that game could produce more scoring, and Kalen Ballage is getting all the red zone work. He's like getting the goal line carries. So I'll go with Ballage here. Royce Freeman's role is dialed back enough to where I'm a little worried. All right, Goddard at 12 or risk Kittle in the late game. That's one of those things where it's like that. Go with your gut on that one. Like I have Kittle higher than him right now. I have Kittle at 4. I have Goddard at 6 in my rankings, and I think Goddard's the safer play. But if you're looking for upside, you want to go with risk Kittle. I mean, it seems like he's going to play. That's why I'm keeping Kittle at 4. So I guess I would go with Kittle. But if you're looking for a floor and you're like, I feel good about my matchups, and this is the one I just want to make sure I don't totally completely blow, I think I'd go Goddard. Jackson, hey tags, hey, Kareem Hunt or Miles Sanders in the standard league for a flex spot? I think we have to go with Miles Sanders. It's kind of crazy because Kareem Hunt is he's an intriguing one this week, and there's a chance where Kareem Hunt just has a game like a top 15 type game. I can see it happening, but we can't guarantee the touches for him that we do for Miles Sanders. Kareem Hunt might see 8 touches in this game, and that's possible, and he might do fine on those, but Miles Sanders should see, I don't know, 15 plus touches. There's nobody there to catch passes for the Eagles, and they're using him quite a bit as a receiver, even downfield. So I'm going to go with Miles Sanders. Hey tags, how are you? I'm good. How are you, Ray? Brian Hill, Beau Scarborough, or Cohen? Standard. In a standard league, that's tough. If it was PPR, I'd be saying Cohen for sure. I still think I'm going to go with Cohen. I think he gives you a floor, and I think he gives you the best ceiling. Because Brian Hill, I thought about it, and I'm like, the floor is there, but what's the ceiling with him? You know what I mean? Tampa Bay's been really good. Scarborough, again, you think about the floor, and you're like, the floor is actually really low. The ceiling is not that high because he doesn't catch passes. I'm going to go with Cohen here. I just feel like the floor is fine, in terms of you're probably going to get 40 total yards. That's like the floor, but then the ceiling obviously is much higher. He just hasn't broken those big plays this year, but it's possible against the Giants. All right, let's see. Carolyn, good morning. Good morning. Flex PPR, John Brown, James White. In a PPR, I'm going to go with James White. I know that some people would probably disagree with this because Brown has been a guy that consistently just, gets those 50 plus yards. But again, the matchup does concern me a little bit. I haven't moved John Brown to the point where I'm not starting him as a wide receiver, but if you're choosing between him and someone like James White, I think that, we could be looking at 6 targets for Brown, and with Mohamed Sanu out, with Phillip Dorsett out, I just feel like this is a game where it's like it should move through James White. So I'm gonna go James White with that one. Some people might disagree, but that's where I would go personally. Let's see. Best tight end streamer this week. I mean, it depends on who's available in your league. Like Jared Cook was available in some leagues. He's a good streamer. Dallas Goedert, a really good one. He's probably the one that I would say was available in most leagues. Ryan Griffin, Vance McDonald. Those are like in the order that I would play them. Let's see. Aloha. Half PPR. Geronimo, James Washington, or Robbie Anderson. I'm probably going to go with James Washington here. It feels a little weird, but I'm probably going to do that. He's been getting a lot more opportunity, knowing that Juju's out. He's a guy that has one play upside. He does get targeted deep. His average depth of targets down the field. The Bengals have allowed tons of explosive plays this year in terms of big plays. Geronimo, tough matchup against San Francisco. Robbie Anderson, I probably would have said Anderson before finding out that there's a lot of wind going on there in New York, because Anderson's the guy that he doesn't get a lot of targets, he doesn't catch a lot of passes, so he kind of needs that one big touchdown play. And knowing that there's wind, I don't want to rely on that. So let's go with James Washington. All right, Michael S. Fant or Goddard? I have Goddard higher this week. I don't like Fant against the Bills. The Bills have been like the toughest matchup in the NFL against tight ends the last 2 years. Let's see. Hey, tags. Pick 2. Half PPR. Chris Carson, Jalen Samuels, Devontae Adams. Yeah. I don't think I can sit Devontae Adams and Chris Carson. I gotta play those guys. So that's where I would go. Jalen Samuels, again, it's possible with Benny Snell coming back that they give him most of the early down work. They mix in some Trey Edmonds, and then they give, some targets to Jalen Samuels, which is fine. It's just a little worrisome, right? So I'm going to take the guys that are guaranteed work, right? Carson and Devontae Adams are guaranteed work. Daily Salt. Good morning, tags. Half point PPR, Goddard or Hollister? I have Goddard for sure. Again, Goddard, I liked before finding out that Nelson Aguilar was out. I liked him before finding out that Alshon Jeffrey was out. But if those guys are going to miss this game, I don't know if we've seen I don't think we had official word yet. They should be coming out any moment. But it seems like they're going to be without those guys. Goddard's going to get targeted quite a bit. Let's see. The unteleported man. Nice. PPR, Griffin or Fant? I have Griffin higher. Griffin is top 10 tight end for me this week. Carr or Foles? Worried about all the rain. Yeah, I mean, so I had Carr higher, but now I'm a little concerned about the weather there as well. Maybe we go with Foles. I haven't looked at the weather, honestly, in terms of the Jacksonville Titans game. Is the weather supposed to be bad there? I'm not sure. Yeah, that's really tough. Because, I mean, the thing is, the reason I liked Carr a little bit more is because the Jets have really stopped the run extremely well. You're able to throw the ball on them, but, do they do that if the weather is really bad there? Let's see. David, tough one for me, tags. McLaurin or Deebo, full PPR? I'm probably going to go with McLaurin. Probably going to go there. It's definitely close. But knowing that Deebo is not 100%, that he was questionable all week, that would be enough to move me towards McLaurin. Emmanuel Sanders or John Brown PPR? That's a situation where I'm going to go John Brown. And I'm going to say John Brown because, again, he's been super consistent. Emmanuel Sanders, he played less than half the snaps last week. He's a guy that's battling through this cartilage injury, and he's a guy that could leave the game early. So I'm going to go with John Brown in that one. PPR, Boyd or Gabriel? I'll go Boyd. I mean, with Auden Tate likely out for them, I mean, Tyler Boyd had a terrible game last week. I don't even want to talk about it. It was frustrating for sure. But then if you go back to the week before with Ryan Finley, he played okay against Baltimore. So I'm going to go with Boyd there. Gabriel probably offers a higher ceiling, but the floor is, I'll go with Boyd. Myles Peacock, Josh Allen or Nick Foles? I'd go Josh Allen. I mean, he at least gives you a floor with his rushing. Tailored Productions, good morning, tags. Good morning. Who should I drop for kicker? Marlon Mack, Beau Scarborough, Jordan Howard, Jamal Williams, or Damian Williams? Beau Scarborough. I mean, if you're not playing him, he's on your bench, I'm guessing. So I would drop him for a kicker. Let's see. Standard flex, Latavius Murray or Deante Johnson if he clears concussion protocol. Deante Johnson did clear the concussion protocol, so he is going to play. But I would still play Latavius Murray over him. Raphael, morning tags, PPR, Jamal Williams, Dallas Goedert, or Russell Gage. I'd go Goddard here in a full PPR. So Jamal Williams is interesting, and I debated him, but knowing, again, Goddard's going to be played almost like a wide receiver in terms of the fact that, like, you have to look at the targets he's going to get, and he's been, I want to say he's been targeted ever since, like, week 6. He's been a top 10 targeted tight end, and that's including with his bye week in there. So I'm going to go with Goddard. Noah Fant or Cameron Brate have PPR. I'm going to go with Cameron Brate there. It feels weird because, like, we don't know what's going on with O.J. Howard. We don't know if they're going to put him back in the offense or if they're going to keep rolling with Brate. But the matchup for Fant is worrisome against Buffalo. Fant is someone that I'm going to like after this week because he is being targeted by Brandon Allen. But against Buffalo, it's just not a good matchup for him. Joseph Garcia, flex PPR, Gurley or Coleman. That's actually one that I was struggling with this morning. I was going back and forth between those guys and like which one I was going to pick. I landed on Coleman, putting him one spot over Gurley. So, I mean, that's a gut call, man. But again, Baltimore is not a good matchup for running backs. It's really not. There was one game that they allowed Nick Chubb to go bananas, but they were missing Brandon Williams. They're starting like Pro Bowl defensive tackle Brandon Williams up the middle of that game. So if you remove that game, they've been like a brutal matchup for running backs. So yeah, I'm going to go with Coleman. Let's see. Good morning tags. Myles Sanders or Hollister? Myles Sanders for sure. Yeah, guys, again, Myles Sanders, I know last week didn't go really as planned. It was against New England, but the guy's going to be locked into touches. There's just so many missing people here, and he's going to see targets in the passing game. There's just not much not to like about him this week. I know Seattle's not like a team that you run the ball very well against, but they might be without Jadeveon Clowney. So there's definitely some pluses for Myles Sanders here. Kyle asked, full PPR, James White or Amari for flex? Starting Godwin and A-Rob at my wide receiver. Ooh, that one's really tough. In a full PPR, give me James White, I guess. I just think there's more guaranteed touches there. I think Amari is more of like a tournament play in DFS that like he can beat Stephon Gilmore. I know he can, but the question is, does he? And does he get enough targets? Because Amari, the reason I'm a little worried about Amari is because he's not a guy that's targeted like double digits. I think there's 2 games all year where he's gotten into the double digits in targets. So, you know, Stephon Gilmore has allowed like a 45 or 48% catch rate in his coverage this year. So it's like if you're getting just 8 targets, 7 targets, whatever, it's like 3 or 4 catches, and it's like all of a sudden it doesn't feel so good. So I'll go with James White. He tags, let's see, half PPR flex spot, Deebo Samuel, DK Metcalfe, or Jamal Williams. I'm also starting Rodgers, Aaron Jones, and Devontae Adams. Wow, you're very Packer heavy. So I have Metcalfe over Deebo Samuel, so I'd go there. And then Jamal Williams, I'd probably go at Metcalfe. I mean, the guy has seen, I think, 9+ targets in 3 of the last 4 games. I know Josh Gordon's going to take a step forward, but they're not, I mean, you don't move the ball on the ground against Philly, so I'm guessing they're going to have to go through the air a little bit. But now with Philly struggling to score, it's going to be ugly. I mean, that game is one to kind of avoid if possible, but I just feel better about Metcalfe. Maybe Jamal Williams. I think I'm talking myself into it because it's like I have to think about the best play in terms of like floor, ceiling, and all that. And I was almost like letting your lineup. It's almost like better not to share your lineup because I can just say which one I like most. But yeah, you're starting the entire Packers lineup, it seems. Ali asks, good morning tags, Galladay or Parker in a PPR. I'd go with Galladay. I think Parker is a fine play. He's offered a stable floor, but he probably has the toughest matchup among the Miami skill position players. That's why people like Patrick Laird this week. That's why people like Mike Gesicki this week, because Parker with Greedy Williams and Denzel Ward, it's not an easy matchup. But again, Parker didn't have an easy matchup last week against Tre'Davious White. Still got some work done. But I'd go with Galladay here. The matchup's just really good against Washington. Myles Sanders or James White? That's one where I'm probably going to go with Myles Sanders. Just the guaranteed touches. I'll take that over White. The reason I like White in a lot of like situations is because, I mean, he's been like a guy that's guaranteed touches. And that's, it's weird to say that about a receiving back, but that's who James White is. That's why he's offered a floor. I don't think he's finished in PPR formats. I don't think he's finished outside the top 30 running backs all year, but he also hasn't finished inside the top 12. So let's see. Brian asks, Sony or Royce Freeman? Sony. I mean, just hope for the touchdown. Freeman, you're kind of looking for the same thing, right? Like, he's not involved very much anymore, but Sony gets more touches. Harrison asked, Marvin Jones or DK Metcalfe PPR? I'd go Marvin Jones there. Swag syndrome. Don't read my name aloud. Well, it's too late now, swag. Metcalfe or Parker and a half PPR. I'd go Devontae Parker in that situation. I don't know if Philadelphia is going to struggle to score on Seattle because they don't have receivers, that could lead to a little bit more rushing attempts by the Seahawks, which is a game that they want to play. They do want to run the ball a lot, which means if Josh Gordon gets an increased role, all of a sudden we could be looking at 4 targets for Metcalfe, and that's worrisome. So I'll go with Parker. Kyle says, pick up Dede to start over John Brown. Nah, I wouldn't do that. I mean, the matchup for Dede, I talked about this in the primer. And again, if you guys are watching the show, first off, thank you. Click the like button for me. It really helps me out. There's a lot of you guys in here, and there's a lot more likes that we can get on this video. I know that. But if for whatever reason I don't get to your question, because they are flying in, and I try to get to as many as possible. If you guys haven't checked it out, the primer is an article I write every week. It has a paragraph on every player from every game. Dede Westbrook's someone that I think is like a solid wide receiver 3 play this week, but it also relies on some rational coaching in terms of attacking a certain matchup, and I don't know if they're competent enough to do that. So I like Dede, but I would not start him over John Brown. Let's see. Darren asked Gordon or Laird in a half PPR. I'm guessing that's Josh Gordon. So I'm going to go with Patrick Laird in that one. I just feel like, so Josh Gordon only played, I think it was like 22 snaps in the first game with the Seahawks. If they're going to go run heavy, they might bring in more offensive linemen, not go as 3 wide heavy as they might typically. So we could still see him eased into the offense. I do think it's a decent matchup for Gordon, but I'm going to go with Laird here. I just feel like he's a guy that's emerging, and I feel like that they're going to start to see what they have in him, knowing that Kalen Ballage has just been super inefficient. Let's see. Richard asked Gallup or McLaurin, full PPR considering weather. I mean, I would go with Gallup. I had Gallup over McLaurin regardless of weather. So I'm going to go with Gallup there. Brady versus Dak. So what's the weather in New England? Is it bad out there? Is that what it is? All right, so I got some official injury news here. Alshon Jeffrey's inactive. Nelson Aguilar's inactive. Jadeveon Clowney is inactive for the Seahawks. That's a boost for Miles Sanders. Jordan Howard inactive. We knew that was coming. AP is playing. Auden Tate is active. That's a surprising one. That's something I did not see coming. Let's see. Josh Norman active. I thought he was supposed to be inactive. I was told that Josh Norman was going to be inactive for today. That's weird. Demaryius Thomas active. Pouring rain and very cold in New England. So it's pouring there. Awesome. Downgrade everybody in that game. I mean, that's not good. When it's cold and pouring rain, that's not good. Let's see. Beau Scarborough, Gallup, or Murray in the flex PPR. I would play Latavius Murray. Brady versus Dak. I'm going to go with Dak on that one. It's apparently not looking great out there, and Dak at least runs the ball a little bit, which should help provide a rushing floor, whereas Brady doesn't at all. Let's see. Jacob asked, hey, Mike, full PPR, Aaron Rodgers or Sam Darnold? I'm going to go with Rodgers. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I sat Rodgers for Darnold. I mean, the matchup isn't terrible. Oakland has generated a better pass rush over the past month, and that game is also supposed to have some weather conditions. I want to say that the wind is a bit higher in there, like around 20-mile-an-hour winds. So that's something to be worrisome a little bit about. I'm going to go with Rodgers here. I mean, San Francisco has been really good, but I just can't bring myself to sit Rodgers for Darnold. Let's see, Jay Montoro. Hey, Mike, Sam Darnold or Josh Allen? Love your work. I appreciate it, man. So Darnold would have been my call here, but again, the weather conditions, these are things I need to check because these guys are so close. Josh Allen obviously presents the higher floor here with what he does in the ground, but if there are legit conditions going on in New York right now where it's like Darnold, that they're going to throw the ball as little as possible, that's going to hurt him because he's another quarterback that doesn't do anything with his legs. So I'm probably going to say Josh Allen, knowing the weather out there right now, and it just gives you the higher floor. But why weren't you guys picking up Baker Mayfield this week? That would have been the pickup. That's the guy that I was saying to pick up. Jalen Samuels or Crowder, half-point PPR. I'll go with Jalen Samuels in that one. Just more guaranteed touches than Crowder. All right, let me scroll down here. All right. Dirty money. Start one. Kareem Hunt or Mark Ingram. I think I had one similar to this earlier in the show. And I'm going to go with Mark Ingram. I do think that Kareem Hunt, it's very possible that Kareem Hunt outproduces Mark Ingram, but I can't bank on it because, again, Nick Chubb might score 2 touchdowns. Kareem Hunt might see 8 touches, and then it totally crushes your floor. We at least know that Mark Ingram's going to see 12 to 15 touches. Like, that's going to happen. And he's going to have a good shot at scoring, too. So I'll take Mark Ingram in that one. Low Bello. Terry McLaurin, Taylor Gabriel, or Deebo Samuel. I'll go Terry McLaurin. I don't feel great about it. I really don't. If you're looking for a ceiling, I would play Taylor Gabriel, but we don't know. It's really tough to say. Terry McLaurin, I'm not a huge fan of this week, but of those matchups, again, Deebo Samuel is a guy that's been coming on, and I want to like him, but I want to see Jimmy Garoppolo do something away from Arizona Cardinal games before I start trusting their receivers, multiple receivers at that, into top 30 production. You know what I mean? So that's my concern with him. I am fake Jesus. Ask Emmanuel Sanders or Curtis Samuel half PPR. I would go with Curtis Samuel, just a little bit less risk with Curtis Samuel. Again, he's a guy that's been seeing 6+ targets for as long as I could remember. He's had a few games in there over 8 targets. His air yards are way down the field. They're playing inside of a dome. It's a very small sample size, but Curtis Samuel has crushed inside of the dome over his short career. Does Kyle Allen bounce back? I'm going to go with Curtis Samuel of those two because Emmanuel, again, he only played, I think it was 32 of 72 snaps last week. So now going into this, it's like he didn't practice. He practiced on a limited basis. He could be limited again. And that's my concern with Emmanuel Sanders is like not playing those guys that are hurt. Take the guy that's guaranteed some targets. Jason says, hey, Tags. Hey, what's up? Hunter Renfro, Taylor Gabriel, or Russell Gage. P.S. Alshon is made of glass. Yeah, I think we kind of learned that. I'm going to go Taylor Gabriel here. So Russell Gage is a decent play. But his target share has been going down the last couple weeks, and it's really difficult to say that he's a great play and that you could lock him in for at least 5 targets. I don't even know if I can say that. But Taylor Gabriel is a guy that's been seeing plenty of targets, and with Alshon Jeffrey potentially shadowed by Janoris Jenkins, we could see them take advantage of Taylor Gabriel's matchup against DeAndre Baker, which is one of the best matchups in football. So Hunter Renfro against the Jets. I mean, he's that short area of the field, like where the wind wouldn't affect his targets so much, but Brian Poole has been really good for the Jets in the slot. He's done a great job. It's almost like on the perimeters where they've been beat. So I don't really love Renfro this week. He might offer the highest floor of the bunch, but that's not saying too much. All right, let's see. Sean asked the Browns or Patriots defense with New England weather. I might go at New England. There could be more fumbles in that game. Could be less points scored. The Browns, my concern with the Browns is that they're just missing so many starters on defense. I mean, like, believe me, you want to play your defense against the Dolphins. I want to say that the stat is that no defense has finished outside the top 12 against the Dolphins this year. So that's like obviously something that you want to take note of. Cleveland is at home, but I mean, losing all those starters, I think I might go with the Patriots. They've been so good this year. It's difficult to sit them anyways. 412 Wayne, Jalen Samuels, John Brown, or White. Need 2 PPR. I would take the running backs. Give me the running backs and Samuels and White. At least they're guaranteed touches. Good morning, Tex. Good morning, James. Pick 2, Ronald Jones, Dallas Goedert, or Hollister. Ronald Jones and Goddard would be my picks. Again, Hollister was someone that I told people to like weeks ago. This has nothing to do with his massive breakout game against the 49ers. We saw the snaps picking up. We saw the targets picking up. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend that you're going to get that every single week. And the matchup against the Eagles has been terrible under Jim Schwartz. Like, ever since Schwartz came there, I think they've allowed – it's like back in 2016 – it's like a sample size of 55 games or something like that. I think they've allowed 12 touchdowns that entire time. Like, they've been really good under Jim Schwartz as the defensive coordinator. So Hollister's not a guy I want to bank on this week. So I would go with Jones and Goddard. BG, hey Tags, hey, what's up, man? 2 of 4. Okay, we gotta narrow it down, man. I'm sorry. I am fake Jesus, Flex Geis, or Hollywood Brown. I'm gonna go with Darius Geis in that one. Hollywood Brown is a guy that obviously he makes a living on some deeper plays. He hasn't received very many targets. I want to say that he hasn't received more than 4 targets. You'd have to go back, like almost over a month to see the last time he got more than that. So you're kind of looking for that big play. And the Rams are a team that's only allowed 26 explosive plays this year. What's an explosive play? It means it's a 15-yard run or a 20-yard pass. The next closest team has allowed 31 of those plays. So they're the best in the NFL at limiting those big plays, and it's not even really all that close. So that's my concern with Hollywood Brown. He does have that one play upside, but I'll take Geis. Cooks or Washington? I would go with Cooks. I mean, I'm not going to sit Brandon Cooks, a guy that's like a similar type play, but is a lot more talented than Washington, so I'll go with Cooks. Give me a smile. Miles Sanders or Gallup half PPR. I'd go Miles Sanders, take the guaranteed touches there, and Gallup, again, tough matchup. The weather is apparently pretty brutal out there, so that's where I'd go. Which defense has the most upside this week considering the matchup? Patriots, Falcons, Broncos. I actually think they're all in a similar conversation. I think the Pats are probably the one with the highest floor. Again, if they take away John Brown, Josh Allen could make some bad decisions in that game. The Broncos defense has generated some pressure as of late. The Falcons playing against Jameis Winston, always good for a pick six here and there. The Falcons defense has played better recently, but I don't think that they're a really good defense, so that's why I don't want to bet on them. I'd probably say the Pats, just knowing the way they played. What's up, Mike? Harry or Cobb, full PPR? Can I choose neither? I have Cobb ranked higher. I'm not a big fan of either player though. Let's see. This is Total Tag Mania. Hey Tags, Woods, Samuel or Washington? I'm gonna go with Robert Woods here. So he's healthy. The reason that he was away from the team had nothing to do with an injury. It had everything to do with the fact that he had a personal issue going on. He rejoined the team. I think it was Thursday or Friday. So he was able to get back in the game plan. Deebo Samuel been questionable all week. Again, we haven't seen Jimmy Garoppolo perform outside of Arizona games. We need to see that a little bit more to rely on him. And then James Washington, Mason Rudolph's throwing him the ball. I don't think we need any more of an excuse. So I'll go with Woods. Let's see. Please help. Devin Singletary, Brian Hill, Beau Scarborough, flex, full PPR. I'm going Singletary here. I mean, Denver, you don't really move the ball through the air. You can get some stuff done on the ground. They're not a good matchup for anybody really, but Devin Singletary has earned the snaps. He has earned the passing down work. He should be in for 15 touches in that game. Brian Hill, one of the most brutal matchups in fantasy football against Tampa. Scarborough, not guaranteed anything. And even if he is guaranteed some carries, he's in a PPR, he's worth much less. So I'll go Singletary. All right. Neutral backwash. Sit one, half PPR. Edelman, DJ Moore, Jalen Samuels, Lindsey. Sit one. If I'm sitting one, it's probably going to be Jalen Samuels of those. Larry Spencer. Good morning, Tags. Good morning. PPR flex. Gallup, Cup, or Latavius Murray. PPR. We got to go with Cooper Kupp here in a PPR. Latavius, not so involved in the passing game anymore. He's a guy that can score a touchdown, and he's probably going to get 10 plus carries in this game. But again, if he's not involved in the passing game, it lowers his floor in PPR format. So I'm going to go with Cooper Kupp here. Let's see. All right. If Kittel was out right now, where would you have Dwelly? I'll tell you real quick. I would probably have Dwelly at number 13 to 15, somewhere in there. That's probably where I'd put him. I wouldn't be like psyched to play him. Let's see. Please help. Need one of these for my flex. Ingram, Miles Sanders, or Cooper. I think I'm going with Miles Sanders here. It's really close between him and Ingram. Cooper, the lack of targets is the only worrisome part. Jonathan Dirks, hey Tags, question. John Brown, possible Chris Harris, yes. Kenny Galladay, Driskel Madness, or Amari Cooper. This is one of the situations where I'll probably play Amari. Knowing that the weather in Washington it's considered windy out there. Obviously, you have Driskel throwing the ball. He hasn't been very efficient with Driskel. That's concerning. We talked about the Chris Harris situation, but Amari, I think I have to go with Amari here. It's close, though. I'm close to saying Kenny Galladay. If you want to go Galladay, I have no issue with it because obviously the weather is I think, the best there, maybe. But that's a really good question between all of them with all this weather stuff going on. It's really difficult for me to talk about so much weather stuff on Sunday mornings because, again, when we start the show, when I start it, it's 10 o'clock here. Games don't start for another 2 hours. Weather reports can change. So I always try and check that stuff like right before kickoff. But I'm hearing like Chris is out in New England. He's telling me that, or he's from that area, and he's saying that it's not good out there. So, yeah, Galladay might be my choice, honestly, after with this weather stuff. Myles Sanders or Devin Singletary for the flex spot in temp team, half PPR. I'm going to go Myles Sanders. The matchup is better for him, especially with no Jadeveon Clowney. He boosts that run defense quite a bit, so I'll go with him. Let's see. Kenny asked Jeff Driskel or Derek Carr. I still have Carr higher than him. Like I've moved Carr down a little bit with the weather, but not far enough to go below Driskel, I don't think. Cody asked Brady, Tannehill, or Darnold. Again, this weather situation, it sounds pretty bad for Brady, and he's missing a couple of his pass catchers. That's obviously worrisome. I have Brady the highest right now, but again, I'm going to be adjusting that once I start looking at this weather situation a little bit more. So, I mean, can you get Ryan Fitzpatrick? I think I would start Fitzpatrick over all those guys, to be honest with you. I think that's where I'm at right now. It's sad, but true. All right. Montgomery, Singletary, or Marvin Jones, pick 2, half PPR. Thanks, Mike. No problem, Derek. The caps didn't change anything, but I'm going to go with David Montgomery for sure. He's the one in there. And then let's go with Singletary. Just take the guaranteed touches over Marvin Jones. Again, Marvin Jones only had, I think, 4 or 5 targets last week, but he turned them into 2 touchdowns. Obviously, it looks better. But yeah, there's a lower floor than Marvin Jones than we've seen with Jeff Driskel. So I'll go with Montgomery and Singletary there. Pete asked PPR pick 2, Jalen Samuels, Kareem Hunt, or James White. PPR, thanks. All right, so in PPR, I'm probably going to have to go with Jalen Samuels and James White here. Kareem Hunt, he's the wild card, man. He's the guy that I know that I could be wrong in one way or the other, but when I'm forced to answer a question with guys that are guaranteed touches, I'm going to lean those guys just because Kareem Hunt, I mean, it's so tough because you want to say, like, the matchup's so good. He's looked good. They could choose to give Nick Chubb, and I'm going to be honest about this one. Like, this is one of those players that I have no great feeling on. I could see Kareem Hunt finishing as a top 15 running back this week. I could also see him finishing with 8 touches and being like a, RB 30. I could see that happening too. So there's a wide range of outcomes with him, and that's why I want to be honest about that. He probably has more upside than both these guys, but I would say Samuels and James White for the guaranteed touches. All right, Trevor, half PPR, Michael Gallup, Josh Gordon, or Jamal Williams. I'm going to go with Jamal Williams here. Just take the guaranteed touches with him and not really worry about the target share for Gallup with the bad weather, not worry about Josh Gordon with the snaps being the number 3 option out there. So I'll go with Jamal Williams. Ryan says, love the pod. Love that you listen to the pod. You have to move Creed up your office board though. I mean, he's a fine cameo actor. Didn't make the show. Didn't make or break it for me. Pick 2. Sony Michel, Curtis Samuel, or DK Metcalfe, half PPR. All right, so of those guys, I'm definitely playing Samuel, and then it comes down to Sony or Metcalfe. I'll play Sony, knowing the weather is what it is. It's a messy game. The Cowboys, if there is an area that they've struggled, it's been on the ground, so that defense. So I'll go with Sony and Curtis Samuel. Baker or Ryan, full PPR? I would go with Matt Ryan. I mean, I don't think you can sit Matt Ryan this week. A lot of people have him as their number 1 quarterback. Amir asks, what's up, Tags? What's up, dude? Pick 2, Miles Sanders, Sony Michel, Devin Singletary. Miles Sanders is in there, and then Sony or Singletary. I'll go Devin Singletary in a half PPR. It does boost him a little bit, knowing that he'll catch some passes out of the backfield. So I'll go Sanders and Singletary. Casey, need some help. Start 1 half PPR. Geis, Jamal Williams, Mostert, or Hill. Cheers. Darius Geis is the pick that I would go with there of those options, and that one's pretty clear cut for me. I think I feel good. I feel pretty good about Geis this week, getting 12 plus touches. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to answer a couple more before I get out of here, but thank you guys so much for tuning in. There's a lot of you guys here, and obviously we're ramping up towards the fantasy playoffs. Hopefully I see a lot of you guys here. And again, we're here every single Sunday talking to you guys, trying to give you, as much of the process over results as possible, and wishing you the best. So make sure you bring a friend next time. It seems like a lot of you guys have done that, so thank you guys so much. Definitely appreciate it. Let's answer a couple more if we get out of here, and I have to set my own lineups and adjust all the rankings and all that stuff. All right, let's see. Baker we got that one. Need some help. Got that one. All right. Robbie or Dallas? Dallas Goedert I'm going to go with. Robbie, again, that weather out there is not great, and Robbie Anderson's a guy that relies on the big play, so if it's a windy game out there in New York, that obviously that hurts the guys that rely on the deep ball more than anybody. John Jalen Samuels or Latavius Murray in half PPR. I'd go Jalen Samuels there. Again, just more guaranteed work for him. I do like Latavius Murray this week, but not over someone like Samuels. Flex, David Montgomery or Allen Robinson. I'd probably go with David Montgomery. I know that's weird because I have Robbie Anderson, or I have Allen Robinson as like a top 12 receiver this week, but David Montgomery is just locked into more touches. The Giants have been really hit or miss against the run. Like there's games where it's like people are running through trucks, like truck size holes. And then there's other games where they look really good against the run. But again, Montgomery, the Bears, if they do score, like if they get into that territory, they're going to give David Montgomery the ball. So it could be a multiple touchdown game for him. Whereas Allen Robinson could see Janoris Jenkins, which is the toughest matchup. Should still produce, but yeah. All right, and then the last one, should I start Tate over Gallup because of the weather? Yeah, I think that's enough. I actually think I had Tate ranked over Gallup before the weather concerns, so yeah, I would go with Golden Tate, even though it's not a great matchup against the Bears. But thank you so much, guys, for showing up. Definitely appreciate it. I wish you the best of luck in your Week 12 fantasy football matchups. And if you have any other questions, make sure you guys check it out. The Primer is the article I do. So if you type in, if you go to FantasyPros or just type into Google, The Primer, Tagliere, whatever, Week 12, it'll pop up for you. And there's a paragraph on everybody on your team that you're thinking about, I promise. Go and check that out. But thank you again. And yeah, until next time, guys, lights out.